We had to cancel our open house, so today we're bringing the studio to you. Stay tuned. Live from Cave Creek, Arizona, it's That Painting Show, starring the Color Queen.
Hello, I'm Beth Zink. You may not recognize me. I've been in makeup for hours. You know, all dressed up and no place to go. We were meant to have an open house here at our studio, but it got canceled because of the virus. Sophie's disappointed, John's disappointed, I'm disappointed. But I thought, why not? I can still show you some of the paintings that we have available. So, before we get started, Dr. John does not have a lucky duck today. I just want to let you know. We thought of it, but we were afraid Sophie would bite the duck. And we're also disappointed that you can't share in our beverages, in our refreshments that we have available normally at our open house. Maybe in the fall. This is my wall of art. I have paintings that are varying sizes. I'll just run you through a few of them. In case you were here, you'd realize that this is 40 by 30 inch painting. It's called Pretty Woman. My son titled it for me. When I get desperate for titles, I ask family members and they help. It's actually a serious flower. This is another serious flower taken by an excellent professional photographer, and I decided to put a black background behind it because it was so well backlit. You can see the light edges against that dark background. Three pink ladies. This one's called Red Rapture. Now this painting is 48 by 36, and it has those complementary colors I love to use, the red versus the green, with a nice deep maroon background and a very narrow gold float frame. This piece is called Full Bloom. It's my most recent piece. I did it in between a few commissions last year, and I love how much is going on in this painting. There are just, it's like a botanical, like the whole desert botanical garden all in one painting. It was fun to do.
Teacher, why do you use acrylic instead of oil or watercolor?
Well, you know, Dr. John, I studied painting in college, and I took oil painting and I took watercolor painting, and I just personally prefer acrylic. Oil painting, back at least when I was in school, had a lot of odor and there was a lot of cleanup involved.
It's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, and I wanted to go party instead of clean my brushes, so. Anyway, watercolor, I love watercolor, but you have to be very concise with watercolor. It has a mind of its own, and also watercolor paintings, back when I was working on them, needed mats, glass, frames, and couldn't get as large as I'd like. I can get huge paintings, huge canvases made to paint an acrylic painting as large as I'd like.
How many different types of brushes do you use?
Oh, I don't know. That's another segment, but lots. There are brushes called liner brushes that make these little fine lines for all the cactus or feathers or details. Round brushes, flat brushes, filbert brushes. There's too many. Maybe we'll just have a class, or excuse me, a segment on brushes.
What's the size of that piece in front of you?
This one right here is 40 inches tall by 30 inches wide.
By the way, have I said how much I like your hairdo?
No, you haven't. But
Well, it
do
looks
you?
really nice. You look marvelous.
I feel like an old version of Atomic Blonde.
Almost there. Almost there.
Anyway, the next piece we have is called Mellow Yellow. It is not mellow and kind of yellow, but you can see once again, I just love working in warm colors. I do a lot of paintings with blues, cool colors, violets, but I have a personal preference for warm colors. And I love that in your face, up close kind of look that I do with my cactus flowers. That one's 36 square.
And what's the painting's name?
Mellow Yellow?
That's it?
Yeah. This one's called Sundown. Sundown, this is from our driveway up here in Cave Creek, looking up at Black Mountain. We look north, and from the west, the sunset was illuminating the clouds over Black Mountain. I added the path and some of the cactus little artistic license here in the foreground because I'm really into making sure that the composition of my painting is interesting. You know, people like landscapes, they like pathways, they like doorways, they like windows in their paintings. It's almost as if they could, it's taking them somewhere other than where they are. So.
Good call, good call.
Thanks.
Now, do you varnish your paintings?
Yes, I varnish all of my paintings. And the reason I varnish paintings is because every pigment has a different sheen. Some, like your earth tones, have they're real dull looking, and some of your alizarins and other paints have real shiny consistency to them. So if you put a final varnish on your painting, it evens out the sheen, and it also just kind of brings out the brilliance of the colors. I don't like a gloss varnish usually. I prefer a satin varnish, so it gives a little bit of sheen, but an overall general look. If you think about a watercolor painting before it's under glass and after it's under glass, it's amazingly different. Any reflective surface, like a varnish or glass, brings out the brilliance of the color. This is called Majestic. It was a sunset that we saw in late November, and it was just amazing. This particular piece took a little extra time because blending sunset colors in acrylic is a lot more challenging than it is in watercolor, or excuse me, in oil. Oil stays wet for a long time, so you can kind of noodle it and play with it for hours on end, whereas acrylic paint dries so quickly, it was really a challenge to do this, but because there are probably no fewer than 1 million colors in this sky. Here's a pair of paintings that are little close-ups that are just fun for if you need a pair of paintings for like a little small horizontal area or vertical area. These are called Spiny 1 and 2. They're only 18 inches square. This piece was another sunset from our backyard, and I called it Cotton Candy Sky because it looks like cotton candy. It was one of those amazing nights here in Arizona. Arizona has some of the most magnificent sunsets. I guess sunrises too, but I'm not up for those. I like to sleep in. This is a giclée. I just thought I'd have a giclée for you to see the excellent reproduction that we can have. And as I said, giclées are 1/3 the price of an original painting. Can also be scaled larger or smaller. Last but not least is one of my all-time favorite landscapes, and it's called The Guardian. I think this giant old saguaro is guarding the desert below. You can see we're up here in a hillside with the ocotillo and the agaves and all the desert in spring, in flower, and looking way beyond, off into the desert, off to these little arroyos, and back to the Superstition Mountains, which are really beautiful mountains in the southern part of the valley. So that's about it for our wall of art, and I will say goodbye with our daily pearls of wisdom. Today's pearls of wisdom are from Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin says, "A day without laughter is a day wasted." Remember that. Laugh. Stay well, stay safe. See you next time. Cheers!